How can the Chicago Bears beat the Detroit Lions this Sunday? What's up, guys? I'm back with the Chicago Bears prediction videos. It is game week, first week of the year against Detroit, man. I cannot wait to watch this game, okay? I badly need football in my life right now, so cannot wait. If you haven't watched my video before this, which was my official prediction video where I gave all my predictions and kind of gave you guys a preview to this game, I would recommend watching that first because in that video I go more in depth talking about the game and the matchups and stuff like that. But in this video, guys, I'm just going to be talking about the 3 keys to a Bears victory. Like, what needs to happen for the Chicago Bears to actually win this game. Now, before I begin this video, I want to reiterate something I said in my last video, and that is that this Detroit Lions team, although they are the Lions, okay, a team that we have swept the past 2 years, a team that Trubisky has dominated the last 2 years, don't take them lightly whatsoever. Like, I'm not going into this game and thinking it's like a easy win or like it's going to be a guaranteed win, because it's simply not going to be with how much improved the Lions defense is looking like it is. Now, granted, I don't think it's going to be a top defense or anywhere close to that this year, but they should be better than they were last year. And the fact that Matt Stafford is back and fully healthy and they have a ton of weapons all over the field, it's going to be a tough matchup for the Chicago Bears. And it's honestly probably going to go down to the wire, maybe to the fourth quarter, to see who's actually going to win this game, because I honestly feel like both teams are going to start out super sloppy. There's not going to be much scoring going on in the first half, but maybe in the second half, one offense is going to start to pull away a little bit. Now, if you are the Lions, it's going to be much tougher to go up against the Bears defense than it is for the Bears offense to go up against the Lions defense. But, the fact also remains that the Lions offense is much, much better than the Bears offense is. So it's going to be a matchup of a great offense versus a great defense and a bad offense versus a bad defense. So which team is going to pull through? It's anybody's best guess, but here are my 3 keys to a Bears victory. Key number 1 is going to be to create mismatches for Cohen going down the field in the passing attack. Guys, I honestly feel like Cohen is going to be the biggest X factor on the Bears offense this year. If Cohen goes back to his 2018 level or anything close to that, where he was second in the Bears offense in receiving yards, the Bears offense is going to look a lot different than it did in 2019, when Cohen was not a factor whatsoever, when Cohen was top 5 in drops, when he wasn't even any sort of a threat in the run game either. I mean, he was a terrible player by a lot of metrics last year. Even though his receptions actually went up last year, he finished 4th in receptions for all running backs in 2019. His yards per reception dropped dramatically, nearly 5 yards per reception, which is a huge, substantial drop, guys. A drop of 5 yards per reception in just the next year, you usually do not see that, which, left a lot of people asking, like, what happened to Cohen? What, did Matt Nagy not use him properly? Did something happen in his life? Well, it was a combination of a lot of factors, okay? There was a personal tragedy he had to deal with. His younger half-brother, Dante Norman, was shot and paralyzed from the waist down last offseason, so that was honestly weighing on his mind a lot. He even talked about that. He said that I had a lot of things going on last offseason, and I didn't really concentrate and grind the way I usually grind in the offseason. I felt like it showed up a little bit towards the end of the season. My body started deteriorating a little earlier than it would normally do. I didn't feel the same explosion that I would usually feel, the same speed and the same fire. Also, having a losing season would make you feel that way, but mostly I feel like it was the fact that I didn't have the best offseason that I could have had last year. Now, it seems like Cohen is in a much better place mentally now, and he's kind of gotten over what happened, because this offseason he's been having a spectacular training camp. I mean, all the reports coming from Matt Nagy, coming from the people there, they really like what they're seeing from Cohen. Even from Cohen himself, he said that, the season I had last year was definitely not my best work. I definitely have to get that bitter taste out of my mouth. That's what I came into this offseason with. That drove me in the offseason through my workouts, and now even in training camp. I believe the coaches and all the staff upstairs, they can see that I'm ready to have a season like I had in 2018. So clearly he's been putting in the work. He's had a much better offseason this year than he had a year ago. And he's out to prove people wrong, because now literally everybody is doubting this man again. Doubting him because of his small size, but also because of the fact that he didn't really contribute that much to our offense last year, at least like he did in 2018. So he is a man on a mission this year. He wants to prove a lot of people wrong. And honestly, guys, I feel like he will, because if you look at the moves we made this offseason, one move that we made that I feel like people are not going to think actually benefits Cohen as well is completely overhauling our tight end group, okay? Getting Jimmy Graham, getting Cole Kmet, getting Demetrius Harris, getting actual NFL level tight ends in here, not the bums we had last year. That is also going to benefit Tariq Cohen, guys, because due to our tight ends being the worst in the NFL last year, nobody really had to worry about covering them in the middle of the field. So a lot of times what happened was a defensive back would be placed on Tariq Cohen rather than a linebacker, which, he wasn't getting the matchups, the mismatches that he wanted and that he got in 2018 because there was no presence in the middle of the field that the other team really had to worry about. But this year, if our tight ends can be at least adequate, that is going to change in a big way, guys. And even Tariq Cohen himself said that. Talking about the tight ends, he said that I definitely feel like they're going to have a lot of attention on them being great targets in the passing game. For the most part, safeties and other DBs will have to honor them. I think I'll be mostly matched up against linebackers again. And guys, there are not many linebackers in the NFL that can actually cover Tariq Cohen. Especially looking at the Lions defense, a 30-year-old Jamie Collins, the other guys they have there I'm not really big fans of. So whichever linebacker Tariq Cohen gets matched up against, if he is actually able to get matched up against linebackers this game, he is going to be able to beat them pretty handily because, guys, Tariq Cohen has game-changing speed. I mean, he's one of the fastest running backs in the entire NFL. So if Matt Nagy can find a way to match this guy up against the opposing linebackers, get some favorable mismatches going based on speed, okay? We could get some big completions going down the field early. And if you get those early completions, that's going to move the defense back a little bit. And it's going to make it easier to run the football as well. Which, by the way, guys, we need as much help as we possibly can get running the football because I don't know if David Montgomery is going to be back for week 1. And even if he is, he's probably not going to be fully healthy. So if we can get these early completions going down the field, specifically to Tariq Cohen, because I feel like we could get so many mismatches with Tariq Cohen on these other linebackers, it is truly going to help us put up points. Key number 2, which is closely related to key number 1, is that we need heavy tight end involvement in this game early from the Chicago Bears offense. I already talked about how if the tight ends get involved early, it's going to open up things for Tariq Cohen going down the field, so I'm not going to repeat that again. But even besides that, guys, I have to say, like I have been saying pretty much this entire offseason, Matt Nagy's offense can only function fully when it has adequate NFL-level tight ends. Look at the playbook's closest relatives, okay? The Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles. Both of those offenses have star-studded tight ends, Travis Kelce and Zach Ertz. Would those offenses be anywhere close to the same if they didn't have those star-studded tight ends? Absolutely not, guys. I mean, look at the tape. Look at how much Patrick Mahomes and Carson Wentz and whoever the quarterback is for the Eagles, because Carson Wentz gets injured so often, look at how much they rely on the tight end in the passing attack. I mean, Travis Kelce is honestly a lot of times the leading receiver for the Chiefs. Same for Zach Ertz with the Eagles. If you are a struggling young QB, i.e. Mitch Trubisky, what's going to help you gain your confidence back? Giving you big, tall targets to throw to in the middle of the field and having, a security blanket that you didn't have before. If you look at Trubisky's tape, guys, going back to 2018, his best games have always came when he had decent tight end play. I'm going to read a stat that I shared on my page a couple days ago, but guys, Mitch Trubisky has a passer rating of 112.94 in games where a tight end goes for 40 plus yards, and the Bears are 5-1 in those games. That is a ridiculous stat. First of all, because we've only had a tight end go for 40 plus yards in only 6 games in the last couple of years. Like, that's absolutely ridiculous. But also just realizing the fact that Mitch Trubisky has always been successful whenever he has tight ends to actually throw to. I mean, that should give you a lot more confidence going into this game if you are a Chicago Bears fan, because going from Trey Burton and Adam Shaheen to Jimmy Graham, Cole Kmet, Demetrius Harris, that is a complete 180 if training camp is any sign. Because, guys, these two have dominated training camp on offense. Like, they have been the stars of the show on offense. Cole Kmet and Jimmy Graham, they have been bullying our DBs, bullying our linebackers as well, just completely bodying everybody they go up against. So I know that doesn't always translate to the real games, but honestly, I do feel like it will, because Jimmy Graham was more productive last year than all of our tight ends combined, and Cole Kmet coming out of college, he has so much talent as a receiving tight end and also as a blocker as well. So these two guys single-handedly could change our entire offense this year. But especially in a game like this, going up against linebackers like the Detroit Lions that haven't really proven anything in this league, that aren't even close to being average in this league, they could do so much damage early and often. So if I'm Matt Nagy, I mean, I'm drawing up a lot of 12 personnel for this game, which, by the way, guys, if you don't know what 12 personnel is, it's pretty much where you have one running back and two tight ends, and obviously two receivers on the field as well. So a more tight end-centric formation, you can also have three tight ends on the field as well, but 12 personnel is obviously more common. And guys, the one thing Matt Nagy couldn't stop talking about when he first got here in 2018 was utilizing 12 personnel, okay? Utilizing both Trey Burton and Adam Shaheen on the field at the same time. Now, unfortunately, we did not see that whatsoever in 2019. I mean, we only used 12 personnel, 13% of our plays last year, which was the third lowest in the entire NFL. You know which teams were top 5 in 12 personnel usage? The Eagles and the Chiefs, the playbooks, the offenses that we are trying to emulate. So if that doesn't show you how important the tight ends are going to be to this offense, then nothing else will. Because guys, the tight ends could single-handedly change our offense and make it a lot better than it was in 2019. So if either Cole Kmet or Jimmy Graham have a big day, I mean, it's going to make things a lot easier on Trubisky, and I think we have a much better chance of actually winning this game. And finally, key number 3 is going to be to put Matthew Stafford in the dirt. Last year, the Chicago Bears pass rush was nowhere to be found, okay? We only had 32 sacks, which was bottom 10 in the entire NFL. And for a team that has Khalil Mack, that is absolutely unacceptable. Now, I know that there was no Akeem Hicks for the majority of last year. Leonard Floyd was an absolute bust when it came to pass rushing, so we didn't really have that much help around him. Now, it wasn't like we weren't getting pressure on the quarterback. We were top 10 in hurries and QB hits, so we were actually getting to the quarterback. We just could not finish the deal and put the quarterback in the dirt, which is extremely important if you want to be a great defense like the Chicago Bears, like we were in 2018. So that's honestly something that Chuck Pagano needs to stress to these guys, because especially going up against an offense like the Lions passing offense, I mean, with Matthew Stafford out there, with, Kenny Galladay on the outside, Marvin Jones, Danny Amendola, some speedy threats as well, they have so many weapons going down the field. And if you give Matthew Stafford the opportunity to just heave the ball up, one of their receivers could come down with a catch. I mean, I do like our defensive backs. I like Eddie Jackson. Obviously, he's a superstar. I mean, I like Kyle Fuller. I like Jalen Johnson, the young rookie. But at some point, the talent in the Detroit Lions receiving core is going to be hard to contain. So unless, Khalil Mack and company are able to put Matthew Stafford in the dirt early, it's going to be a rough day for our defensive backs. Now, am I confident that Khalil Mack, Robert Quinn, and Akeem Hicks can actually put Matthew Stafford in the dirt, can actually, get their hands on the quarterback and get those sacks? Yeah, I 100% am, because guys, rule of 3, okay? I'm sure all of you guys have watched that video. When you put 3 incredible pass rushing talents like Robert Quinn, Akeem Hicks, and Khalil Mack on the same front 7, it's going to create living hell for opposing offenses and for opposing quarterbacks. So honestly, we should find a way to get to Matthew Stafford early and often, because if we do, I mean, it's going to create a lot of opportunities for our defensive backs to get those interceptions and for us to win this game. So yeah, those are my 3 keys to a Bears victory. Let me know if you agree or disagree in the comments down below. Obviously I could have came up with like a million different keys, like getting Trubisky out of the pocket. Maybe I could have talked about shutting down the Lions rushing attack with Adrian Peterson, DeAndre Swift, and Kerryon Johnson, because if we shut down the running attack, it's going to make things a lot more one-dimensional and easier for our defense. So let me know what your keys are if they're different than mine. But I do honestly feel like if the Bears accomplish these 3 things, it's going to increase our chances to win this game. So let me know what you guys think down below. But as always, bear down.